Okay, good afternoon, everyone. This is Tracy Thomas with Rev Talks, and I have Larry and Olga Keith from Dynamic Defense Training, and they're here to talk a little bit about kind of workplace violence and what they're doing, and they've just been in the business for so many years. Started off as a martial arts school, and now they've gone out into the medical field as far as teaching at medical facilities and different facilities around the country. So we really want to bring the opportunity and kind of connect this, what they have to offer with their workplace violence, and actually what you can do to grow your own martial arts school in your community, especially even right now during the the COVID-19 experience this epidemic that we're all experiencing at this moment. But I'm gonna let them do a little talking, ask a few questions, and you guys kind of get a feel for what they have to offer here. And I'd like to really see some of the martial arts schools maybe get on a call on this webinar and do a follow-up webinar with them and see what they have to offer and what it can do for you guys in your school. So Larry and Olga, do you have any, I'd like to welcome you guys first to Rev Talks, and maybe you guys can talk a little bit about, your medical facilities, maybe the hospital you were telling me about that you've been teaching at for quite some time now. Can you give a kind of rundown on what you've been doing there?
Yeah. Thanks for having us too. We're happy to be here. So, do you want to open up about the?
Yeah, sure. So, at the current medical facility that we're teaching at, we actually just celebrated a year anniversary of being there, and man, it's just been all positive. They reached out to us about a year ago, and because we have built a great rapport in our community, good reputation. So somebody highly recommended us to come in and teach workplace violence prevention. What they were looking for is a nonviolent means of dealing with violent patients, clients, violent encounters. So we come in and we do hands-on training, and that's something very new to them because usually they would have theoretical situational stuff, but the hands-on has really been has been really positive for all of the stuff. So the idea is for them to cycle all of their stuff through us, and for them to learn, how to escape when somebody grabs you, how to escape if somebody, comes up behind you. What if a patient is in bed and grabs you out of bed? So all of those things we cover in our workshops. We meet with them twice a month, and it's always a different group. And what they're looking to do now is have it on a continuous basis to where every year everybody's going through us. And it's been really nice because we're hearing now in the community, people talking about how, oh yeah, I was in that class. And so we joke about how one day we'll walk into the ER, because we always encourage them to practice on each other. So, I wouldn't be surprised if we walked into ER and they're like trying to do the on each other.
Yeah. Trying to get out of a choke or something. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, very good. Well, what interests me though, Olga, really when we first started talking to you guys about this, what really interests me is how adaptable this is with the martial arts industry, and how people, if you're a martial arts school owner, or a staff member, and you're interested in utilizing this. I mean, let's talk about how this could transition. So basically it doesn't matter really. What I'm hearing is if it's jiu-jitsu, taekwondo, karate, kung fu, does it really make a difference with your system and what style of martial arts they practice?
No, it doesn't. The idea is that we're promoting safety in our community, right? And every martial arts has some type of benefit, self-defense application. And so you can take whatever martial art that you are currently practicing, and it's easy to adapt into these, particular techniques, and fit into whatever workplace category that it needs to fit into, and the level of violent encounter that may happen. So
yeah, and as far as physical application, all of this is based on leverage and structure, but it's really common sense, because they're such simple movements that even if it's not part of your style, they're easily learned. But it just blows people's minds how easy it is to defend yourself.
That's the benefit of the hands-on working with them, is they actually get to feel it and see for them, feel for themselves that, oh, this thing actually works, right? So
and we've gotten reports of people just even walking away from that single workshop saying that, okay, I feel more confident now, and that just
very good.
That just makes it work.
The other side note on that, with the medical facilities, you know, is that they are, I think it's 5 times more likely to have a violent encounter on the work site. So there's a huge demand there in the medical community for workplace violence prevention. And so that's the niche that we're filling right there, that, you know, we're encouraging other martial artists to do the same thing.
Yeah, and Larry, what I think is interesting, what you just said, one of the most valuable things you just said is that niche, because, you know, we've all seen the YouTube videos where, you know, it could be Krav Maga, it could be anything, you know, we all, as martial artists, we all know, for the most part, many of us have been practicing this for many years and how to defend ourselves. But what I really like about this is we know in order to transition to a lot of places, human resources controls that within a hospital or a medical facility. And can we talk a little bit about the difference? You know, you mentioned a little bit about the nonviolent. Can you talk a little bit about what the difference is and what exactly they're looking for? You know, they're not looking for a martial artist to come in and teach somebody to defend themselves away from a choke with an elbow strike, something to the face. You know, can you talk a little bit about that? Because that really is, you know, why every martial arts school needs you guys to get in, help them get in right now and get them taught and trained and certified as a workplace violence instructor, is because this nonviolence thing, this is what everybody's looking for. They want to mitigate their liability and risk. If you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, and that's you know, everything starts off with a threat assessment. So, you know, whatever type of business we're working with, you know, we need to know what their needs are, for their defensive tactics. And so in the medical community, right, it's not, they're dealing with what we call client or customer violence, right? There's different categories of workplace violence, and that's one of them. And so in that situation, it's not somebody that came in with intent to rob them or, you know, that type of thing. It's usually somebody who's either stressed out, or medication is off, or they're injured, and, you know, something or even coming out of anesthesia, right? So there's lots of different situations where the patient needs to be contained, and it's not a criminal intent from the patient, right? So that's a different category completely. And so when we make that threat assessment, that's kind of what we look at is, okay, what is the threat for this particular facility? And for the medical facilities, that's their threat. And so that's what, you know, that's what we start with. And then from there, we can, from that evaluation, we can determine what type of self-defense they need to practice, right? What's the level of violence that they're going to encounter? And, you know, is it something that they need to have a violent response to, or is it something they need to have a, you know, basically non-violent response to and contain the person? So that's where it starts off with, is just that threat assessment.
And in the medical facilities, it's interesting what separates them from, you know, maybe like parking lot safety, right? They have to not only contain the person, but they have to make sure that they don't hurt the person, right? If it's a patient, or, you know, so they're there to care for people, not hurt people. So we have to teach them ways to contain the person with the minimal harm to that person
and to themselves. Yeah.
A very good point. Yeah, I really like this. Yeah, I would definitely be interested, like you said earlier, about a month ago, then when we first started talking about this here, we talked about possibly, you know, with COVID-19 right now, we can't schedule anything, but we'd like to definitely get something scheduled towards the end of the year here in Virginia Beach. So if anybody, all the martial arts school owners that know me and that you guys are interested in doing it, I look forward to having Olga and Larry get out here and go through the workplace violence, specifically that's geared towards something that we're not doing a lot of, is we're not in a lot of the medical facilities. And we know that they need the training, and we know that the human resources are required to have it. So we know HR departments are wanting this to be taken care of, so mitigate liability and get the people trained. And they have an awesome system. It's just wonderful what they're doing. And it's unique. When you said niche, it's completely different than anything else anybody else is doing out there. It's not just about martial arts skill sets. It's a business model that seems to be working pretty good. And we're talking about the business models. Can we talk about the instructors? You know, I know you're talking about different levels of instructors, and when you come out to Virginia Beach, you know, we want to get our instructors certified at whatever levels you have. And we're interested in not just doing it in our school, but we're also interested in doing it in our community. And I even have one instructor that's going to be retiring soon. He's law enforcement, and I was telling him about what you guys have to, you know, offer and workplace violence. Kind of just touch bases like for a few minutes on it. And he was mentioning that if you guys even had something that you guys offer at that level, you know, for an instructor, but maybe you can talk about the different levels, not, getting down into the nitty gritty necessarily of it, because we don't have that much time, only have about 20 more minutes, but maybe just discuss a little bit about the different levels. So if I'm a martial arts instructor, how can I make this work in my community or in my own school or in my own business, knowing that some of these might be, we know you're talking about ranges and teaching this to other locations outside martial arts schools as well.
Sure, and so we do have different levels. So our lowest level of certification is the coach, and the coach is somebody, like a martial arts instructor who can teach what we teach in their own facility. We also have a trainer, and a trainer can teach in their facility or go out into the community and teach what we teach. Then our highest level is the instructor, and the instructor not only can teach in their facility and in the community, they're directly working with DDT, and they can go all over the nation if that's what they like to do. So absolutely, we can train all different levels.
Okay, perfect. Well, there'll be, as you guys are listening to this webinar right now and watching the webinar right now for all the martial arts schools out there, I want you to go ahead. There'll be some information that's passed down through here. You'll see it pop up on the screen. And basically what that is a contact information, phone number and an email, and also a web page that you'll be able to go directly to. So you guys will be able to look them up and see what they're really all about. So, I think that it's interesting right now because as we see everything going, we've seen stuff with the active shooter. We've seen, it all starts with that workplace violence. Almost all of the active shooter events we're seeing right now are workplace violence before this COVID-19 epidemic, started occurring. So I think now is the time for the martial arts schoolers to sit and look at, how can I change my business model? How can I have another branch, if you will, of revenue streams? And the workplace violence just seems like it's such a great opportunity for everybody. But could you guys talk a little bit about, I know you talked a little bit about parking lot safety, Olga. You mentioned it real quick, and I know that's all kind of what you guys do with the, it starts from when they're entering the building or before the building. Could you talk a little bit about anything else you guys, your company has as to offer as a service?
Sure. Well, we kind of separate our services into three categories. So first is the medical facility, like Larry says, it's our niche. Also then educational facilities, so colleges, universities, private schools, and then also general businesses, and that may include, real estate, banks, even churches. So, the need is huge, and the demographics, it's never ending for sure.
Yeah, and there's different levels of violence and different categories of violence for each one of those as well. And so we cover all of that. And we do separate, like you mentioned, the parking lot safety. And when we're teaching at the medical facilities, we're teaching a nonviolent means of dealing with a violent situation. Well, mostly that's the inner thing. So inside the building, inside the facility, parking lot safety is something completely separate from that, and so we do cover that with them as well. It's like how you react to a violent situation inside the medical facility versus how you would react to somebody attacking you in the parking lot. Could be two completely different situations. Yeah,
it's interesting. It's, when I had several conversations with you guys already, and I really am excited about seeing what you guys have to offer with the workplace violence with DDT, because it just seems like it's so interesting, and because, my philosophy with anything in the martial arts, or anything combatively speaking, everything from hand-to-hand firearms, whatever that is, I know that simplicity has to be, over that complexity, if you will, but I know it has to work for most of the people most of the time, not some of the people some of the time. And what I like about what you guys have to offer is if it's working in a hospital with doctors and nurses with hundreds and hundreds of people inside there, it's working for most of the people most of the time. And that's what's really interesting, and to say you've been, working for the hospital for a year now and doing this, and the success stories and the reviews that I've actually personally seen are just amazing. So, kudos to you guys. It looks like it's going really well. And I think the instructors, oh, go ahead. Good, Olga.
No, I was going to say the hospital, they've been just incredible. After every class, the whole class gets to fill out a piece of paper, a survey, and usually we have 20 to 30 people in class, and every single one is, positive. Awesome, this is great, please stay forever.
We want them to come back. Yeah,
so it's
very good.
Good.
Yeah. No, that's great. And really, you know, it's what other martial arts instructors could be doing during the day or in the evenings on the weekends, you know, with these medical facilities, you know, and like you said, talking about the educational facilities, we know what they need, you know, everything from, you know, local community colleges to full-size universities. I think it's really interesting what you guys are doing. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to be able to bring this to a lot of school owners that have never thought of doing this before. And if they don't even want to do it for an individual source of income, it is a perfect opportunity for lead generation or to get new students in their school. I mean, you can't. So could you talk a little bit from the business side of it? You know, the business side of it, if they didn't want it as a business model, how else could that be used?
Sure. Well, like you said, lead generation, you know, this is great. We've gotten some contacts from just going out into the hospital to where, you know, our phone is ringing at our martial arts schools. In fact, we schedule appointments on site when people come up to us after the class. Every class to get their information. We schedule them for a trial class. But I just wanted to put out an encouragement there for martial arts school owners or even just martial artists. We really have what it takes to teach these things because we know how to teach, and that's what makes us the perfect candidates to teach these things, you know, because we know how to teach to different people, right? From 4-year-olds to in different ways, how people learn. You know, you have people that need to hear it, you have people that need to see it, people that need to feel it. So as martial artists, we're professional teachers, and so that's part of the reason why we're reaching out to martial artists specifically, because, you know, we're the best at it.
Very good. Yeah, and I think it's great. And I want to kind of piggyback off that, if you will, because what I see is what you just said is essentially is one of the most valuable things that they can learn on here right now is who's teaching the workplace violence right now. If you look at the people that are teaching it, there's a lot of, and I don't mean this to be derogatory when I say the so-called experts, because if you take, you know, whether it's a firearms training or whether it's a hand-to-hand combat type stuff, if you take some of the people that are special ops and whatnot, could be law enforcement, 25 years, you know, if you take them, what's the difference is they've experienced it, very good at what they do. We all know that. But the difference is, how do you translate that into a teaching environment under stress? Okay. It's instructionally, because, you know, you have females, males, you have all different age groups, what Olga mentioned. And I think that's what's really good, because basically what Olga was telling you is, you guys are martial arts instructors out there. You have a step up from everybody else in the industry that's teaching this, which there's not a lot of people, first of all. And I'm proud to be part of the DTT thing, you know, and working with them. I'm looking forward to really a long-term relationship there, because I believe it's so needed in the community. And I do believe that, you know, they mentioned that they have surveys filled out. So just let's touch bases on that real quick. Like, you know, we're talking about doing 2 things, but really it's more like 3 things. Okay. So threefold. One is you're doing it possibly as a revenue stream, and it's a very good revenue stream. Second is you're doing it as a lead generation system to get more students in your school. Third is about brand and reputation management in your town. So I like to talk about that next. Maybe Larry or Olga, if you want to talk a little bit about, what do you feel, since you've started doing the workplace violence, what do you feel about your brand, and your brand being your DDT? You know, also, I'm sure it's affected your martial arts school, you as an individuals. What has it done for you guys as a brand and reputation management within your own community?
Well, it's helped us build really, really good rapport in the community, you know, because now we're known as the experts in self-defense. And so, you know, in those different settings. And so, you know, like we said, every time we teach a class, you know, especially at that hospital, we always have people approaching us afterwards that want to know how to get involved in our regular classes, or how to get their kids involved in our regular classes, or, you know, something along that line. But it's always positive feedback. And then we hear the echoes from that, right? So when we're in the community, we'll hear that, you know, like somebody from this medical facility has spoken to somebody else about us, and then they'll come to us and say, yeah, we heard great things about you, you know. So so that's been a great thing. It's in the local community, as far as building that rapport for our you know, our training facility here, and as well as getting into other businesses. So
and what we teach, because it is so effective and you know, it's kind of like magic for people, you know, because for us, we take it for granted, right? We've been doing this for years. To us, it's like, you know, not a big deal. But the first time they see leverage working when you're escaping just a simple grip, they're like mind blown, right?
Yeah,
So
eyes always get
all of
big.
a sudden, you know, we're walking on water.
Right.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I really, everything I'm hearing right now is really good. And I really hope everybody that's listening to this right now takes this to heart and keep focus on those three things. One is another avenue of a revenue stream. Two is going to be lead generation. And three is that rapport, that reputation management, building the brand, if you will. And they're both, you know, I've talked to them quite a few times already. They're both pretty, they're being really humble right now. They're not really telling the full story. It's a lot bigger than what it really is, and what you're seeing here on this video. So I just want to share that with you. But I want to add that fourth thing to is that when they're talking right now and you're talking about all this reputational rapport, lead generation, everything else, it's really what that comes down to being that fourth thing, or that overall circle that encompasses all of these three things, is that's an influencer. And what Larry was saying is probably another valuable thing here for a takeaway for you guys is they've become the influencer, and I say the, not a influencer. They become the influencer, community expert in their communities, and they're now bringing this across the United States with workplace violence. Everything from parking lot outside your structure to everything inside your structure, from your own business. They're going to be able to teach you how to do that within your own martial arts school, take it to other businesses, whether it's a medical facility, it's a bunch of local businesses of any kind, whatever you guys want that to look like. They're going to be able to adapt that WPV system to you guys in your community, or the educational facilities, starting off at anything from private schools, you know, public schools, the community colleges, universities, and whatnot. So I think it's really going to be big for everybody. I think you're going to, I'm glad to be part of, like I said, I think we're going to hear a lot about Larry and Olga Keith. And no matter how many times I apologize, I say that, I almost always want to call you Keith instead of Larry. So
That's
I
okay.
apologize. So,
You guys
but,
are brothers in arms. with
That's right.
that.
I know that you have the same situation with your
yeah,
name.
same situation with mine. Yes. I want to talk about the defensive tactics side of it. You know, the understanding, maybe a little bit of philosophy behind, because I'd like you to share a little bit more from the views of the people that you're teaching right now. These people that are going through, they're obviously very well educated, doctors, you know, I know you have other people even in your school that have gone through these courses, you know, law enforcement. So what are their views or their perceptions of what you're teaching to the community, maybe from some of the law enforcement people you've spoken to, or some of the doctors?
Well, for the law enforcement folks, you know, they see this as very practical, right? The ones that we teach, we have members in our facility from local law enforcement, SWAT team members that train with us, and those guys are hands-on application. They use this stuff on a regular basis, and so we get a lot of positive feedback from them. The doctors and medical facility folks, you know, they're amazed by this stuff, which amazes us sometimes, that, you know, we watch them and we think, well, that's really cool, because you know, they have a you know, high level of education
Of how our body works.
of anatomy, and then we show them how it works in a defensive situation, and you see their eyes get big and they're wowed by it, which in turn, you know, wows us. Well, how do you not know that already? Right? But you know, but that's what we're there to teach, and we're professionals in our field. You know, they're professionals in their own given field, but we're professionals in our field, and it's nice to see that mutual respect between the two like that.
And the feedback that we've gotten, for instance, from talking extensively about this with one of our students who is on SWAT, you know, he views what we do as a breath of fresh air, because he said there's so much misinformation out there, and he's been to those workshops where it's like they're teaching people to get killed, you know, I mean, just bluntly put. So so he likes that finally an approach is taken where it's not some, you know, weird stuff that's because people don't know. How do they know that what you're teaching is the real thing? So he knows how it works in the real world. So I guess we're SWAT approved. So he's
Very
actually
good.
really excited. He's looking forward to getting certified through us as well. And as far as doctors, one of our clients is a physical therapist. And the other day there was an attack in the hospital on one of her coworkers. And she said that, well, her coworker has not gone through our training yet. And she said, knowing what we teach, she said if she would have gone through, she knew exactly what to, what to do. So that confidence in what we teach already from, somebody who's just taken it once, it's just, love it.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, very good, very good. Well, I'd like you guys to visit the website. We're going to place it down here. You'll see it down in the bottom of your the Zoom message down here. And also, do you guys have a phone number that you like to share that if anybody wants to reach out to you right now? We'll also have all the contact information in the Zoom here too as well. But is there any phone number they can contact you and reach out to you?
Yes, sir. So it's 541-378-0762.
Okay, perfect, perfect. So do you have anything else, like you like to really talk to the directly to the school owners right now that are watching this, any of the martial arts out there? What can you really tell them? And to give you guys a little background on these individuals, and I'll say these individuals because these are two individuals that are a couple, married couple that run one of the top martial arts schools in the nation. So when I say that, it's all sincerity, okay? So, and they are serious martial artists who really believe in what they teach, but you can tell by their personality, it's not an arrogant thing. It's not something, they're not in this for the ego, they're out there to help people. And every single time I talk to them, they're giving back to the community somehow. They're going off and helping people teach dance lessons. They have all these different things they're doing in the community. And it's just interesting, how in my mind and listening to them and what I've seen, and I was planning on going out there and visiting with them and getting involved with this DDT right before the COVID-19 hit. But from my experience in working with them in a short period of time now, is that these people are so well known in their community and so well respected that anywhere they go, just everybody's heard of them, have heard of what they've been doing with this DDT, workplace violence, and their defensive tactic stuff is just, it's unique. And that's all I can say. I like to think I own quite a few companies as far as combative and defensive, instinctive defense, go to karate, go to firearm safety. But these companies they're completely different. They don't have anything that you guys have to offer. And that's why I love to bring that stuff to these companies. So I appreciate you guys joining us on the Rev Talks here, and look forward to really getting together with you guys more.
Thank you, sir. Us too.
The feeling is mutual.
Yes.
Okay.
Ditto.
Okay. Well, you guys take care. And, and I think we should probably do one more, maybe in the next 30 days. Let's do another one to everybody out there. And like I said, you guys can fill out the form down below. There's going to be a website link that our team has on there. You guys can click on there, fill out any information you want, leave a little notes. If you have any questions for them, there'll be DDT, both Larry and Olga Keith. I had to pause again. Sorry. Okay, so Larry and Olga Keith, I got to repeat that over and over. They will get back to you, or they have some instructors too as well that are full-time staff members of theirs that are part of the DDT that will follow up with you guys and get back with you and get some scheduled. They have an interesting system how they do it. They do a discovery call with you guys. They get you on Zoom. They want to meet you first, and they handpick all of their instructors. So you have to get on the Zoom call with them, talk to them. They do a little research and background check on your area to see if it would be what areas are really good and what would work best for their DDT instructors out there. Anything else you guys have to share with them before we say goodbye?
I just want to do one more side note for, the martial arts instructors, in particular, that this is, like I mentioned before, this is our profession, right? We're professional instructors, which gives us a big advantage because the feedback that we've gotten from people is that, a lot of people that come in are spouting off statistics and facts and figures and that type of thing, but not really teaching people how to apply practical, self-defense techniques. And so that's the advantage that we have is we're able to teach that stuff at all levels, right? And so it's easy for us to modify it because we've already been doing that. We've been doing that for years, right? As martial arts professionals, that's what we do. So.
And also as martial artists, it is our passion to help people.
Yes.
Be better than yesterday, right? That's our mission here at the dojo, our motto. So this is just another avenue, a huge avenue for us as martial artists to go out and do more good in the community to a wider audience that would not come into your martial arts school for one reason or another, but now we can go to them and help them in ways that, you know, save lives.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I appreciate you guys coming on board, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next call.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Tracy.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, guys. You guys take care.